My name is Nora Nucullaj. I'm Albanian. I'm from Mersi. My dad's from Koya Kuchit and my mom is from Trish. I grew up in New York, in between Yonkers and the Bronx, basically my whole life. That's still where I am. I work in the city. I went to school. For college, I went a little bit upstate in Poughkeepsie, but generally just New York based. I do mostly paintings and drawings. I got really into printmaking as well, so that's in there too. I'd say I started drawing when I first became able to hold a pencil. Honestly, ever since I was little, I was always drawing people. When I was little, I was really focused on like women's fashion, and I would draw portraits and just draw like the most eccentric jewelry and clothes, and just be obsessed with like the self-expression aspect that came with drawing people. And I always stuck with it. I mean, I still draw people primarily, but now I've expanded. Now I include a little bit of still life, and I really like including in some of these paintings, you'll see I'll draw a person sitting before a table, and I'll treat the objects on the table like a still life while also focusing on the person, so it's like a still life portrait. That's what I've been really into doing lately. So many aspects of Albanian culture that I'm trying to figure out in a way, because it's somewhere between it's all that I know because of the way I was brought up by my parents, and also something that I have no idea anything about. Like, I'm trying to learn something. I'm trying to learn about it as much as I can all the time because of not having grown up in Albania. I think a lot about language and the Albanian language and what it means to be an Albanian person, having grown up somewhere in America. That means that the language that I'm most comfortable speaking and most fluent in expressing myself is not Albanian. Because I have such a tendency towards portraits, I want to draw something, I want to paint something that has meaning to me. And when I was in high school, before I sort of knew what that was, I would do like random portraits, I would do celebrities, and there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just not the sort of art that spoke to me. I ended up gravitating towards drawing members of my family and self-portraits, and people who gave me something to think about while I was working on the portrait. I would think about culture, identity, language, all sorts of things, feelings, experiences. I'll do members of my family, like I said. There's also a lot of prints, like that charcoal drawing. I also have prints of just very clearly traditionally dressed older Albanian people who, when I see their faces, they like mean something to me. I was talking to you earlier about like somebody feeling like home to you. Like, you'll see somebody on the train with a similar body language as like a loved one. Like, you'll see someone who looks like your mom maybe, or even just like feels like that, and you're looking at this stranger and you're like, oh my god, why do I want to give you a hug? Like, I don't know, like I'll draw a face that's just like has that familiarity, because I think I'm trying to like, I have it, I know it deep down, but I'm like a little bit removed from it, being in America, like not being around Albanian people constantly. But it's something that I know, and it exists in me, and it's through my family, it's through like being a child and growing up around these people. But then it's something that I'm like chasing. Like, I'm trying to figure out what the shapes of home are. I do work a lot from photos on my own, just because it's like really easy to take pictures of your family and then go back to them and decide which ones you like. But the ones that I end up choosing, the ones that I gravitate towards, always have a sort of like candidness to them. Like, I don't really like painting things that look like they were posed for. Like, my favorite photos are like things that someone would be like, oh, delete that, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna paint it. Like, I love that. Recently I've been trying to figure out like why create art? Why appreciate art? I spend not only a lot of time creating art, but I'm also very interested in looking at art. I go to a lot of museums. I look at a lot of art online. A lot of my friends are artists. I help them with their work. Like, I'm very involved in art. And I do it like it's just always been it's just the way I am, right? But I think recently I've been trying to, instead of just acting on instinct, like gravitating towards these things, trying to question, like, why do I do that? Like, what's the importance of art? Like, why appreciate these things? Why make these things? So I think with my art, I want to be able to find that answer for myself. That's going to be different for everybody. Like, there's not just one global answer, like, art is this. But, like, sort of through making art over the course of a lifetime, figure out why that's worthwhile. And I hope one day I think right now I want to be able to teach one day. I want to find certain answers to these questions for myself and be able to either share that with people or help them, like younger people, find those sorts answers to those questions for themselves.